Hi guys, this is Kim. I'm back, Spartan Stitcher on Instagram. I'm back today with Flosstube number 35. It is the 23rd of September, and oh my gosh, what a busy day. It is currently about 4:40 in the afternoon, so a whole lot later than I normally film, but I have been running around hardly with enough time to take a shower and eat a little bit of food for lunch today. But more on life updates at the end of the video, so we can do stitching first. Let's see. Last week in the School of Magical Stitches and Literature, there was a supply cabinet request for potions, ingredients, and Defense Against the Dark Arts. So I worked on Big Red Ship of Life for all my tasks. I did penalty on one of them, so I didn't get the bonus points for using one whip for everything because it just didn't have the gray stitches for the eggshell that's in Felix Felicis. So it was like, what causes you mental stress? There was wormwood for the Draught of the Living Death as an ingredient, an eggshell type of eggshell for Felix Felicis. What would you smell if you came across Amortentia? And of course I would smell horses. And then the other one was, let me switch back. Oh, the Veritas serum. What have you learned? What truth have you learned about yourself? And mine was double checking my fabric orientation. So I did 1,200 stitches on this for the month of September. Again, I work on this every single month, a little bit each month, to try to get one page every 3 months to represent our time here in North Dakota. So I got 1,200 stitches done, which finished page 3, started page 4, and the part of page 4 that I did also brought me to the right side of the piece. So there's page 3 finished. And then I just took that single border all the way across and reached the right side and did a few more stitches here because this border, wait for my phone to focus, this border right here is the same on this side. So I did a few more stitches that I needed to start on that border. So that will be page 4 to finish up 2019. So, and again, my fabric orientation, you can see I got way too much fabric on this side. And as it goes upside down, because I dropped the wrong side, not enough fabric that way. But you can see my needle, and that's where the bottom of the design will come. So I will stitch on some cotton fabric so I can fit it in my Q-snaps once I get down to that part. So there again, pages 1 through 3 and the width of the design. This is on 28 count mushroom even weave by MCG Textiles, and I'm using DMC 3808 on that one. And then once I finished that, I did a extra credit task, which was for 500 stitches in red or pink for a love task, because we're talking there's so many relationships forming in Half-Blood Prince. And so I told you that I was going to stitch that Shakespeare quote by Stitchrovia for my friend who's expecting her second rainbow baby next month. So I got the 500 stitches done and then some, and then I'm starting, so there's all kinds of flowers and stuff around it. I'm doing one color at a time, so I have the yellow done and the orange done. I'm starting on this second pink color, and I put Moana as a needle minder on there because I think she is definitely little but fierce. I will take this with me. This weekend is when I'm flying down to Shreveport, Louisiana to go see my horse and watch my friend show him as well. And so this will be one of the pieces that I take with me, just because I only have to take like a handful of colors and 8x8 Q-snap, so it travels easily. My husband was gone last week. He was in New Mexico for a class that he needs before he deploys. But he got back Saturday evening real late. So he is back for the moment. And then I can't say my 90-day piece, but it's my daily piece to finish up my 90-day personal challenge of working on pieces. I've been working on Half-Blood Prince. This is the one I started on 1 September for Return to Hogwarts Day. So I'm on page 1. And when I started this last week, when I showed you that I was going to move to it daily, I had like 6 stitches left in multiple colors, and the rest of it was all one color. Well, I finished the stitches I needed to complete by the numbers 2400. So I've done over 4810 stitches, and I think I only have maybe 500 or 600 more to get a page finish. And I totally could not tell until I started filling in that these dark stitches that I had were going to be the stars on the piece. One of those things that you just don't see until it comes together. And then you go back and you look at previous progress pictures, and it seems completely obvious, and you don't understand how you missed it. So I'm filling in DMC 738. All the rest of that page is 738. And I also, last night, I downloaded that new app that everyone is singing the praises about, Pattern Keeper. I had no problems importing it into the program, and I started highlighting 10 by 10 squares to mark them as complete. So it's coming real nice because I don't want to do hard page breaks. That's the reason I downloaded Pattern Keeper, so I could easily see without having to scroll or switch between pages. So I can do these page lines and do a random feathering into them, so I don't end up with page lines. So I will work on this. I'll keep working on it through Thursday. I leave very, very early Friday morning, and I will not be taking this piece with me. So I hope to get a page finished before I leave on this one. And that brings us to the homework this week in the School of Magical Stitches. Is all about Quidditch tryouts. And the tasks are to use one whip per position in Quidditch, and there's also a bonus. For Keeper, you have to work on a piece with rings of some sort. For Chaser, you have to work on a piece that has a female, and you actually have to stitch on the female, because all of the chasers so far in the books for Gryffindor have been female. So you have to work on a female. And let's see, Seeker, a piece that was really hard that you had to find. You had to search down like your unicorn chart. And then Beater, because you work with bats and bludgers, you have to work with a piece that begins with the letter B. Well, my letter B, obviously, would be Beauty and the Beast 2017 by Tilton Crafts. So, and the way the homework works this week, the position that you would most like to be, you do 500 stitches. Your second choice would be 400 stitches, and then the other two, 200 stitches each. And then there is a bonus, 200 stitches in a piece that another student also has as a whip, to get 3 points. So try to, work with teamwork and come up with another student who's working on the same piece. So my Beauty and the Beast, I don't have it on a Q-snap right now because I have Blood Prints. So there's where I am right now. I haven't figured out yet which position I'm going to do how many stitches, because some of my pieces are full coverage, so I have to double them. So it all comes down to how much I can get done quickly this week before I go on vacation. So I will work on that page of the Beast. And let's see. Both for Keeper, a piece with rings, and Chaser, a female, I'm going to be working on Christmas Roly-Polies by Joan Elliott. Let me pull this out. Just real quick, throw everything together because I've been so busy today. Christmas Roly-Polies. So the letter O is something that counts as a ring for the Keeper prompt, so I will be stitching on Santa. And I also already have a start on Mrs. Claus, so she's my female. I can stitch anything on her to count for the Chaser. And let's figure out the right way. So there you have, that is Mrs. Claus, that's mostly done, and then this is the top of Santa's hat. So we'll work on Santa for the Keeper and Mrs. Claus for the Chaser. If I don't get to these, this could be also an easier one to take with me on vacation because I don't need a frame or anything, and again, it's only a few colors. So we'll do my Beauty and the Beast and my bonus first because they're the bigger pieces. For Seeker, a piece that's hard to find, or your unicorn chart. Well, Hogwarts Travel Poster is not my unicorn chart, but it is a piece that's very hard to find. Because, as you've heard me say, you can only get this piece by custom order only. So if you search by Etsy, it doesn't matter how much you search, you're never going to come up with it because it's not listed anymore. And I also need to get working on this piece this month because I have not started on it. And it is my Celestial piece in Full Coverage Fanatics because of the moon. And also my By the Numbers 1200 piece. So I need to get 2400 stitches in it. But again, because this is block stitching, it goes pretty quickly. This will be a piece that could also go with me on vacation. So potential 2 to 3 pieces going with me to Louisiana, depending on how much I can get done this week before I leave. This is 28 count 1/1 though, so a little bit harder to stitch on the airplane. Whereas the Shakespeare quote or the plastic canvas with Mr. and Mrs. Santa and Mrs. Claus would be easier. And then the bonus, you guys all know that I'm close friends with Anne of Full Coverage Fanatics, my co-admin. She is stitching a stitching shelf, which is a bookshelf designed by Amy Stewart. And I have my museum shelf, supersized piece. So another bookshelf designed by Amy Stewart. And so I can work on starting the next page. Remember, I'm going up the next time. And I'm probably just going to do black to get my stitches in and get a foundation for the page going. So that would be fairly easy. Something I can get done for my, it's 200 stitches for the bonus task, so I have to do 410 stitches. So something I can easily get done from now until Thursday before I leave. Because obviously I'm not taking a supersized piece with me on the plane because I don't plan on checking a bag, just a backpack. I need to be able to pack lightly. So I'm thinking max 2 pieces, hopefully, to go with me because I'm going to be super tired. Let's see. What else do I have to talk about? I forgot to talk about it last week because I ran out of time, but for quarter 4 of the 90-day challenge, I'm going back to full coverage. I'm going to be participating in the 90-day challenge for Full Coverage Fanatics, and I ran a poll in my Instagram stories to have people vote on what piece they would like to see me work on. Now, I don't remember, I might remember which, I put 5 pieces to choose from. The first one was Kindred Spirits, which is the 2 horses by Jody Bergsma that I only have 2 pages done on. The second one was Friends Forever, which is the elf queen on the throne with her little dragon buddy. The third one was Beauty and the Beast. The fourth one was Oh Baby, which is the foal with the green background. So the red foal with the green background. And the fifth one is Trick or Treat by Randall Spangler. We have a few days left, and I don't get back until the 30th of September. So if you did not vote in my Instagram stories, feel free to name one of those pieces below that you'd like to see me work on. And I can combine voting in the comments here on this video with the numbers that I got in my Insta stories, because, you know, that only lasted 24 hours. So there was only like 150 people saw it. So if you have a preference out of those 5 pieces, go ahead and list it below in your comments. So Kindred Spirits is 2 horses. Friends Forever is Elf Queen and the Dragon. Beauty and the Beast. Oh Baby, which is the foal with the green background. Or Trick or Treat by Randall Spangler. So if you have a preference for that, put that down below. Let's see. Okay, so 15 minutes gone. Life update time. We have had a lot of rain here in North Dakota. I don't know the exact measurements. I know that is like probably 3 times the record amount of precipitation for the month of September for North Dakota, even before last week. And then Thursday through Saturday, it rained even more. Friday, it hailed, and I even got a little bit of hail damage on my car that was out in the driveway. Luckily, the nice truck was in the garage, so that didn't get any hail damage, but a couple spots on my car. And it was right during school pickup time, so it was like, you don't want your kids out in the hail, and the power went out. There's been a lot of rain. And the ground was already saturated from earlier, you know, in September. So a lot of rain here in North Dakota, especially on the base. There's different floor plans of houses. Depending on your rank and depending on how many kids you have, there's different floor plans. Some of the houses have what's called an Arctic room, which is, it's not like a basement. It's not completely underground. It's like a split level. If you've ever seen a split level house where it's, you walk in the house and you go like 4 steps down. So it's like a room that's half underground, but still has good sized windows in it. And some people's houses were flooding here on the base. I know of at least 20 houses that were flooding, and this was happening on the weekend when there's only usually one person from the maintenance staff that's on call, and there's over 1,400 houses here on the base. Some of those are duplexes, so they count them separately. And we didn't have any flooding, but you know, everything was fine when my husband got home Saturday night. Sunday morning, we woke up and there was nothing wrong as soon as I woke up. But then I went and got my youngest daughter because I could hear her talking in her bed. And as soon as I stepped out of the bedroom, I could smell something. And because of Hopper, I am very sensitive to smells. The instant I smell something, I'm on it. I'm looking for what the source is. And it was a chemical smell, like a chemical cleaner type smell. And it was really odd. And the whole part of the main house had the smell. None of the bedrooms. So the bedrooms are all on one end of the house. Then the utility room is on the complete opposite side of the house. And main part of the house in the middle. So it was like 55, 60 degrees. We were opening up windows just to air out the house while we tried to figure out where the smell was coming from. And it was coming from the utility room where the furnace and the hot water heater are. And also there's a hole in the floor with a piece that lifts up to access the sump pump. Some people may not know what a sump pump is, depending on where you live and where your water table is in relation. Pretty much, if you have a higher water level or water table, when they make the houses and they have crawl spaces underneath them, the water can start to, and the way they build the drainage fields and stuff, the water can collect underneath the house. It goes into a sump area, like it's like a well, and the sump pump is supposed to suck the water out and usually have a hose connected to the outside of your house to drain the water well away from the house. We have never, in the almost 1 year that we've been here, ever heard our sump pump actually working. But it's like, don't hear it, don't think about it, whatever. But the neighbor's house right next door, they have an overactive sump pump this summer where it's like it was turning on every 3 minutes and spitting out water. So in between our two houses, the hose only goes so far and it drains down the grade to the street. And so there's like this constantly swampy area. It was starting to grow algae and real gross. But at least their sump pump was working. It was turning itself on, turning itself off. And ours never heard anything. Well, the odor was coming not from the furnace or the water heater. It was being spread by the heater because, again, it was 55, 60 degrees. It was coming from the crawl space. And so we were taping over vents because the on-call guide has no HVAC experience. So he's temp fixing it until Monday. So we were covering everything. I tried, because the utility room is like inside the laundry room area, which is also when you walk in the garage, you're in the laundry room. So it's real easy to restrict that area and to just kind of close doors, stuff towels under the door, so I could air out the rest of the house and keep the smell in that one corner of the house. So it was not affecting Hopper and wasn't spreading to the rest of the house once we had it aired out. And we opened up the window in the laundry room, opened up the door into the garage, and then the door to the backyard. So we had good airflow coming through. And we left for lunch and everything. Can you hear the music? That's 5 o'clock. They play, after this little trumpet flourish, they play the national anthem every day at 5 o'clock. And if you're outside, you're supposed to stand at attention with your hand over your heart when the national anthem plays. And if you're driving a car, you have to stop until the music is done. So if you ever are on a military base and that happens. So we had good airflow, but the odor wasn't getting any better, even though we had everything taped up. So we're like, okay, obviously we cannot run the heat, because the reason I was smelling it in the main part of the house is that there are some cold air returns in the utility room, and it was bringing that smell and spreading it through the house. Well, I can't have that with Hopper. Absolutely cannot have it. Plus, it was giving me a headache just being around in that room trying to figure out where things were. I had a headache yesterday. So we closed the utility room, stuffed towels under the door. Once the girls were going to bed, closed the laundry room, stuffed towels under that door. So the smell was only in that area, and then it could vent out into the garage if it needed to. So we had no heat last night. It got down to about 50 degrees. That was fine. We were, when the girls went to bed, it was 72 in the house, so we were fine. But we're supposed to get our first frost this weekend. And in the south or northwest corner of North Dakota has a chance of snow. So not us yet, but I mean, it's getting close, and I cannot use my furnace without spreading that smell. So called the maintenance office again this morning. They came out, different guys, so not the same guy that was on call. And as soon as they walked into the utility room, they're like, yeah, that's wet insulation. So the fiberglass insulation underneath the house in the crawl space is sopping wet and is stinking up to high heaven. It literally smells like a chemical floor cleaner of some sort. And so they looked at our sump pump, and I told them I had never seen it working. Well, I don't know what he did. I suspect he plugged it in. I'm not sure it was even plugged in. We never even looked closely at it. But all of a sudden it's working. But the problem is our drainage hose had been chopped up by the contracted yard company, who are too lazy to get off their mowers and move this, vinyl drainage hose. So they just run right over it and chop it up with their mower. And so it wasn't draining far enough away from the house. So then your problem is it just seeps right back through the ground, back into the sump pump, and you're in an evil circle where it's never going to start working. So I drove to town, which is about 25 minutes into town, twice today to go to Menards and buy hose clamps and PVC so I can connect 2 different lengths of hose so that we can run the hose all the way out to the street so it'll go into the gutters instead of seeping back through the ground. It's just a giant headache. So I was doing that while getting the kids to and from school, and that's why I haven't had time to do anything today, and why I'm filming at dinner time instead of this afternoon when my girls were at school. So the problem is the maintenance company here on the base that, they own the homes. They're not maintained by the base. It's a privatized housing company. And if you've heard of all the military housing issues in the United States, it's all one company. It's Balfour Beatty, or BBC for short. They maintain and manage all the housing on different bases: Air Force, Marines, Army, you name it. Some bases have really bad mold problems, which, you think about it, wet insulation, if not taken care of, can grow some mold. The problem being is they don't have the authority or the experience to replace insulation. So now we need an outside company that's in town to come in, rip out the wet insulation and replace it. Not to mention making sure my sump pump is working correctly. It's working now, but I don't think it's going to turn itself off like it should. And the local management office for Balfour Beatty does not have the authority to approve the expense to have the outside company come in. It's got to go higher up in the chain. And I don't know how long that's going to take. And like I said, it's supposed to have our first frost this weekend, and I can't use my heat. And I'm going out of town. So it's going to be a stressful week to figure out when it's going to get fixed and what to do with all of us when it gets cold. Because with lows in the 30s, the house is going to get cold, and the only way the house heats up is during the day if the temperature gets up high enough. Today the high is 78, so the house is heating up nicely. And if they fix the insulation while I'm gone, well, then I'm worried about Hopper, because obviously it's going to be a mess even if they only go from the laundry room into the garage and out of the house. I don't know. It's an unknown, and I don't like that when dealing with a bird that can die before anybody else is harmed. So I might take him to my neighbor's house that also has birds. They have no problems with their house right now, so he might spend the weekend at their house, even though my husband could take care of them if we didn't have maintenance going on at the house. So Hopper may spend a weekend away as well, but we shall see. Well, that's it. Again, if you have a preference for any of those 5 pieces for me to work on for 90 days for October, November, December, leave that comment below. And my husband deploys next month, so it'll be interesting to see how much stitching I can get done when he's not here, and it's the start of winter. So everybody, I hope you have a happy stitching week, and you don't have housing headaches like I do. So, and next week I'm flying home on Monday. I land back in town about 1:30. I don't know, it might be another late video like this, or I might film on Tuesday. So you'll have to watch for a new video either late Monday or on Tuesday. So happy stitching, everybody, and we'll see you later. Bye.